Okay, thank you everybody and welcome to the webinar about electronics today. And my name is Lulik Nguyen and I'm from HQTS group. I'm a regional marketing manager of HQTS group in charge of the Southeast Asia, Australia and New Zealand market. And first of all, thank you very much for spending time with us today. And it's our pleasure to have you in our webinar today. First of all, I would like to give you like the brief introduction about the agenda today. So the purpose of this event is that like we like to give you some information about the market in Singapore and Vietnam. Singapore and Vietnam are two very potential countries for you if you want to do sourcing and trading electronics in Asia, simply because like in the presentation, we will show you the reason why you should do sourcing and trading in Singapore and Vietnam. And first of all, the agenda, like first of all, we will give you like a brief introduction about like the quality control services. And then to like the information about Vietnam market. And after that, the information about like the Singapore market by Miss Eileen Ang, the Executive Director of the Association of Electronics Industries in Singapore. Okay, so the first part today is like we will give you a brief information about like the quality control services. As you know, no matter you are the buyer or supplier, so quality control is vitally important to secure the quality of your product, to make sure the quality of your products can, satisfy the standards and criteria. So at HQTS, we can help you to, like in the quality assurance as well as the quality control. And we have the specialist from my company, Mr. Trung, will give you like the brief introduction about like some quality service that very necessary for electronics. Students.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is nice to meet you guys. My name is Trung, Global Sales Executive from HQTS Group, and I'm very pleased to attend to be here to introduce briefly about our company profile and what is the solution that HQTS can support you in terms of quality control and supply chain management. So let's start it. Well, HQTS started in 1987 as the government department, a unit to support clients such as Bureau Veritas, SGS, and Intertech. Right now, they are a third-party quality control like us. And then since 1995, HQTS became officially privatized, and we can operate privately as a global recognized company. So right now, HQTS is a lead interparty quality service provider from Asia. We do have several office and agent throughout the world, but the main office is in Asia region, and we provide one-stop fully customized quality service, and of course covering electronic products with a wide range service, including supply chain management and monitoring, product inspection, testing, factory and supplier audit, and consultation and training for your company. You can see on the maps, we have lots of office in major region like Asia, like American, like Europe, and we do have some testing lab mainly in Asia region. And because our service network is global, so HQTS can provide you the service in many countries in the world, saving you the time and cost. So why we are very confident about our authenticity of our service, that is because we do have lots of certifications, and we are the member of lots of associations in diverse industry. You can see we are the member of American Association of Textile Chemists, in toy industry, in apparel and footwear, and also with the certification, we do have ISO 17020 for inspection, ISO 17025 for testing. Our lab are certified by Consumer Product Safety Commission in US and International Safe Transit Association also in US. So whenever you have any testing required, we can provide you the testing service with the high quality and flexibility. Yeah. This is a summary about how we can support you throughout the supply chain process. You can see we have a wide range of service from that we can support you in terms of quality control, from the stage of supplier sourcing, sample development to mass production. If you when you find a suitable supplier, mostly suitable for produce your product, we can do the technical quality and social compliance audit in order to ensure that the supplier you found is qualified and have fully capacity to produce the product with aligned with your requirement and your expectation. In new product development and approval stage, we can consult and support you in spec making, in sample qualification, as well as lab testing. So you can finalize the most quality new sample for preparing to the production later. And when you come to the mass production stage, we can support you in inspection and lab testing. Also monitor the production in order to make sure the final product and the final shipment is high quality as your expectation. And about the training and consultancy, we also can support in training and training evaluates your system to comply with the ISO certification. So it can serve in production, in the production later. Yeah. This is a picture to illustrate detail about the service that we can provide. It will separate into two types: product control, product quality control, and process control. And we can support you both with both. You can see with the production, with the product quality control, we can support you from the supplier selection, and when you you have the material, just the raw material and the packaging before the production, we can serve you the service called pre-production inspection. And then during the production process, we can do the during production inspection. And then after 100% finished product are completed, we can have the service pre-shipment inspection and loading supervision also. So, you know, throughout the production process, we can check the quality of material of the semi-finished product and the final product in order to tell you what is the quality status of the production process, and then collaborate with you and your supplier to create the corrective and preventive action on time. And also with the process control, we can have the person in the factory to check the process. So to make sure that on the quality issue, not only to be found, but also we create the solution to eliminate those issues. Yeah. About the, I will tell more detail about the inspection for electronic product. So when we do the inspection for electronic product, what categories we will check on the of the shipment. The first is quantity. We check the number of the products and the carton case that already packed in the shipment, and compare with the quantity in the purchase order. The second is workmanship. Workmanship, we detect and describe on the appearance defect, quality defects on the product. You know, like the scratch, like some broken thing on the product, on the final product. And after we detect all of them, we classify each types of issue in three categories: critical, major, and minor. You can base on the number of critical defect, major defect, and minor defect to decide it whether you see that the quality status of the shipment is is okay or not. The third category is style, color, and documentation. We compare on the standard of the product, of the actual product in the shipment to the standard sample and the purchase order that you provide, and we check then verificate the instruction manual and other related document of the product. The fourth category is field test and measurement. We check the product dimension, barcode to to make sure that everything is comply with on the standard. And then we do some stability, rub test, drop test on-site also. And the final category is shipping map and packaging. We check the packaging manual, we check the actual package on site, and then we verify the shipping map content and status to ensure that it's comply with the destination market. And about lab testing, our lab do have ISO and certified with multiple types of tests, including physical and mechanical tests, flammability, electrical tests, safety tests, EMC, energy efficiency, and electronic calibration, chemical hazards as well. So if you have any requests or any inquiry about your test, and you want us not only to provide the test service, but also want us to consult more about the standard and how can you make sure that the product is compliant with all the international products quality and safety regulation. You can send the request to us, and our professional technical team will support you with the short timeline. Yeah, that is my brief summary about our company and our service. So the next section is back to Mr. Sulik. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for the brief introduction about like the quality control services. So if you have any question about like the quality control services from our company, or maybe like the quality assurance in general, you can give your question in the chat box, and we will answer shortly, or maybe we will send you the answer after the meeting. Okay, and next is like I will talk about like the electronic industry in Vietnam. So this is one of the two countries for the topic today. So the overview about the electronics industry in Vietnam. First of all, we are happy to say that like Vietnam has increased the global ranking from 47th in 2001 to number 10 in 2020. And we are the third country in Asia in electronics exports. And the domestic companies have been improving their importance in the electronics manufacturing supply chain. However, the localization rate is still quite low, you know, just from 5% to 10%. And from the year 2013, the top countries invest a lot in Vietnam electric industries are South Korea, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Japan. So this is the, you know, like the graph to show the export, the value of Vietnam exports of electrical and electronic equipment from 2013 to 2021. And as you see here, the value is increasing during the time. Also, we have like the average registered capital per year is about like $3 billion US at about like 20 billion US dollars of the total registered capital from 2013 until 2021. And we have about like 180, you know, like the projects per year on average. And total so far we have 1,802 projects. This is the graph to show you like the top 10 largest export industries of Vietnam in 2021 and 2022. As you see here, like the top number one is like the phone and accessory, following by the electronics, computers and accessories, mostly export to China, America, Europe, Korea, and Hong Kong. Also, this is like the top 10 largest import industries in Vietnam. And again, we have electronic and phone, computers, accessories in the top 3. And mostly we import, you know, like from China, Korea, and Taiwan. Basically, we import like something cannot produce in Vietnam. For example, the integrated circuit, or like semiconductor, or some maybe like the chips. Okay, so about the location of manufacturers in Vietnam. So basically, most of the production is in the north of Vietnam, as you see here in Vietnam map, the S-shaped country. Mostly like the manufacturers of electronics, gathered in the north of Vietnam in order to utilize the supply of the components in the close neighboring areas like China and Taiwan. However, we also still have, like some large factories in Samsung and Intel in the south of Vietnam. And this is the top 10 province by registered capital. And during this top 10, only, Ho Chi Minh City here and Bình Dương are the two provinces in the south, and the rest is in the north. About the local value chains in Vietnam. So basically, if we divide like the like the manufacturing into like 3 categories: upstream, midstream, and downstream. So how is the value chain in Vietnam? About the upstream, honestly, like the Vietnam is not very strong in upstream, because the designing and production of the main components, for example, the chips, imported from overseas. Only some, just several companies have the R&D department in Vietnam. Midstream is our, competitive advantage. We are very strong in midstream, and local companies focus on assembly, on, like finished goods and sub-assemblies for products for exports. And for the downstream, similar to upstream, downstream mostly done outside of Vietnam. Local companies lack of marketing capabilities and capital. So basically, midstream is our competitive advantage in the world map. And we divide like the electronic companies in Vietnam into 4 groups. The first one is the global lead firms. They are the companies who, like coordinate with the global value chains and retain most of the added value and profits. For example, Samsung, LG, Panasonic, Canon. And the second group is contract manufacturers. They are the key players focused on manufacturing for a range of the lead firms above. For example, Foxconn, Jabil, or Compal. The third group is the platform leaders, are the companies with the leading technologies, including software, hardware, or both, that are widely used by other companies. And the typical player here is Intel. And we also have a group of the parts suppliers, hundreds of foreign invested firms, mainly from South Korea and Japan, to supply the parts and subcomponents to the above 3 groups. So basically, they come to Vietnam along with the global lead firms. Okay, so this is the typical electric products. So mostly in Vietnam, they produce like the consumer goods. And the biggest groups are the mobile phones and components. And the second group is computers, laptops, and components. About the mobile phones and components, due to the strong midstream, as I mentioned before, so Vietnam becomes a major manufacturing and assembling destination for most world-class mobile phone brands. For example, Samsung. And like 60% of all Samsung phones produced in Vietnam. And Vietnamese domestic companies also have been increasing their involvement in the supply chain of the big manufacturers. We record that like the number of the the companies in the first tier of the parts suppliers in Samsung in Vietnam has been increasing significantly during the like the several years. And the second group is computers, laptops, and components. According to Nickel Asia, about half of the world's laptops are manufactured in Southeast Asia. And, Vietnam is the leading in, manufacturing volume in Southeast Asia. So we think that like Vietnam is also like a hub to produce a lot of, laptops, computers, and the components of the computers here. As you see here, like the net import and export of some major electronics commodities of Vietnam here from the year 2013 to 2021, and it's increasing during the time. Okay, so why you should, do the sourcing in Vietnam? First of all, the labor cost in Vietnam market is relatively lower than other manufacturing hubs like China, Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia, something like that. And the labor cost here is just around like 1/3, or nearly like 2/3 of the China's, and the wage increase at a slower pace than other countries. The second competitive advantage is, the capabilities of, manufacturing electronics. We are very strong in midstream activities for smartphones, laptops, and other consumer products, which are, the very hot items nowadays. And for chips, we have the factory of Intel here, and Intel also assembles and tests their Intel's, 5G product line, the core processors integrated, which is a hybrid technology, and the 10th gen core chips in Vietnam. So although it's not very popular, but the level and the capabilities of the chips produced in Vietnam is increasing all the time. The third benefit of sourcing in Vietnam is logistics. Thanks to the logistic, the strategic location in the world map. So Vietnam is very convenient for, logistics and shipping. Vietnam has about 320 ports, and amongst them we have about 163 international ports. And all of the, the global brands of logistics have their operation in Vietnam. For example, Maersk, DHL, FedEx, and more than 30 global brands provide international logistics services here. And also with the domestic, market, we have plenty of local players who can handle the domestic logistics, and also they have the very good relationship and cooperation with the global brands above as well. So it's very easy for you to, deliver the products you source in Vietnam to your host country, for example, in America, in Europe, in, Australia, maybe, and in other countries as well. Vietnam also is very, the promising destination for, sourcing electronics, because we have many free trade agreements with a lot of countries around the world. As you see here, we have the free trade, which because Vietnam is a member of ASEAN, and also we joined the WTO in 2007. Until now, we have the list of the free trade agreements with China, Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, of course, America, and other countries as well. For example, like the RCEP, RCEP here, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is like the the agreement to push up the economy between the Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. So it's just it was effective since January last year, and this is the big move especially for the Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, have like the business opportunities with Australia and New Zealand. So if you do sourcing here in Vietnam, you can enjoy some, subsidized like the low tax or something like that if you, deliver to other countries from Vietnam. And Vietnamese government also support electronics industry. For example, they offer different tax incentives, allowing the companies to choose a model that best suits their businesses. And the corporate income tax allows for some companies in the high-tech industries or located in high-tech industrial zones. For example, we have the specific industrial zones, and if you open like the factory over there, you can enjoy the subsidized from the government about the tax. And the tax incentive programs for up to 15 years, including like the tax exemption, tax rate reduction, or both. And R&D project can also have part of their annual profit as the tax reduction before the actual tax is, levied. Electronics is also one of the key agendas in the industrial development plan of the Vietnamese government, with a vision from 2025 to 2035. Okay, and apart from export, we also have, as I mentioned before, in Vietnam, they also import electronics. So basically, Vietnam mainly import is electrical and machinery and components from China, South East Korea, and Japan and US. And among imported products, so 40% are electronic integrated circuit and micro assemblies. 17% are electrical apparatus, and 6% are, semiconductors devices. This chart show you like this is the number of the upcoming projects by the country. As you see here, China is the #1 of the investment in Vietnam, and upcoming projects capital by the country as well. So the US, they invest a lot of like the capital in Vietnam for the like the new future plans. Okay, so we see like how beneficial if you do sourcing in Vietnam. Then how can you find the good suppliers in Vietnam? This is the example of the top 10 largest electronics components manufacturers in Vietnam. So if you have demand, so you can contact them for your, like to have a business deal. Okay, and how to find the good suppliers in Vietnam? First of all, you can try, of course, Google search, and you can contact them directly. However, this is quite quite complicated, because like it's not easy for you to like classify and check the quality of like the name of the brands. And also sometimes like many Vietnamese companies, they due to the language barrier, so they hesitate to talk with you in other languages rather than like in Vietnamese. Or you can choose some trade shows in Vietnam as well. And so the good point of the trade shows is that like you will meet a lot of decent companies in the trade shows, because like the companies who join trade show mostly are the big companies. They have the the long history and very good quality, and the history in Vietnam. So you can easily talk with them and have the business deal with them. However, the number of trade shows is not very many in Vietnam. So you have to wait quite long until the next trade show. For the trade shows in Vietnam for specialized for electronics, it's just about like several, I think like about like 4 to 5 trade shows a year. And also like the number of the companies in the trade show is quite limited. It's about like 100 or 200 or something. So maybe it's not enough for you to have the full, understanding about like the suppliers in Vietnam. Another channel you can find the suppliers in Vietnam is through associations. For example, like the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, VCCI, or the Vietnam Electronic Industries Association. So you can contact them and give your, demands or your criteria of looking for a partner in Vietnam. So they can help you to spread the news to their members, and if they match with your criteria, so they will contact you. Another way is like you have sourcing companies find the suppliers in Vietnam for you, and of course, like they are professional and they can easily find the suppliers for you in Vietnam. Okay, so that is my, like the brief introduction about the Vietnam market. And if you have any inquiries about the quality control, inspection, testing, or supplier audit, because if you find a company in Vietnam and then you want to check their credibility, so we are willing to help you, and you can contact us via email, and we are, the one of the leading companies, the third parties in Vietnam, to handle this one for you. Okay. And the next is like about, we have Miss Eileen. She is the executive director of the Association of Electronics Industries in Singapore. She will give us like the information about the market in Singapore. Please welcome Eileen.
Right, thank you. Hey, just give me a second to try to share the screen. Okay, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. Today, we will be sharing a broader perspective of Singapore and Asia Pacific electronics markets. Before we start, it is always good to understand about the Singapore electronic industry in the past. Especially, most of us are too young to know about it. Back in the 60s, Singapore electronic industry began as an assembler and manufacturer of simple electronic devices such as television sets and transistor radio. But over the year, the sector has evolved with advances in technology to meet the market demand. Today, the sector comprises a portfolio of high-value components such as RF filter and integrated circuits, which are core components products that are indispensable in our daily life. When we pick up any electronic gauge, like a mobile phone, a laptop, a computer, a video game console, or a car navigation system, there is a good chance that part of it was designed or made in Singapore. Electronic is the bedrock of Singapore manufacturing sector. Singapore electronic industry has grown to become a vital node in the global electronic market. So, how big is the market size of electronics in Singapore? Electronic is the major industry underpins Singapore economy growth and contribute 8% to Singapore GDP. Based on 2022 year review, around 22.5 billion in fixed assets investment were committed in Singapore. This was driven by electronic sector which accounted for around 2/3 of fixed asset investment commitment. The sector saw an exceptional inflow of large projects in the first half of the year. However, we do not expect this same level in 2023 in view of the global micro uncertainties, increased global competition for investment, and sharp slowdown in demand in the semiconductor industry that they are experiencing. The employment of the industry stands about 68,000, which is about 20% of the total manufacturing job in Singapore. On average, electronics sectors account for 2 to 5% annual growth in productivity over the past decade of electronic sector. And Singapore has a full suite of activities to meet business requirements from R&D and development, manufacturing, supply chain management, logistics, as well as regional and global HQ in Singapore. Of course, this has to do with the factors such as reasonable tax system, a pool of skilled workforce, outstanding infrastructure, and an efficient open economy structure. The electronic industry has been and will continue to be a key sector growth for Singapore economy. Singapore aims to be a dynamic electronic capital that extend and expand its frontier of high technology. Today, about 1 out of 10 wafer starts and probably around 40% of the world hard disks actually come from Singapore. In fact, the manufacturing of finished electronic product create many spin-off of segments for the economy, such as the precision component manufacturing, chemical suppliers, material suppliers, EMS companies, as well as logistics service provider. This is an important ecosystem for the economy to grow. The key trend in Singapore and the rest of the world are strongly influenced by the pandemic, which shifted the market demand more abruptly than any single event. This impacts the need for companies to respond fast and become agile, creating both business resilience and opportunity to drive into this reconnecting world. As economy reopen, manufacturers continue to deal with the new reality, running their operation remotely with some employees working from home. And we continue to see the high demand for hybrid model in Singapore. Sorry, just I think there's a okay. Apologize for the technical glitches over here. All right, we'll just move on. Okay, so the outlook for Singapore electronic manufacturing sector remains positive, as the country has already rolled out almost 90% or 95% of the 5G network in the country. This accelerates digitalizations and expanding consumer demand for electronics and will drive and continue changes in year ahead. There will be a great opportunities and demand for tech-related products. Moving forward, mobile device will still continue to drive the growth of the industry, but at the same time, new applications such as AI, healthcare, smart manufacturing, autonomous vehicles, and many applications rely heavily on electronic. Especially given that we are in the digital transformation era, one such trend in industrial automations to various technology such as robots and smart devices, the adoption of this technology helps automate or rather reduce the repetitive tasks that contribute to the overall industrial process using technology. In long runs, the full industrial automation of various processes could create a phenomenon known as the smart factory. The global electronics components market is expected to gain market growth in the forecast period of 2021 to 2028, based on the market research analysis that the market is growing with a current of 8.5% in the forecast period, and is expected to reach 59 million by 2028. The growing adoptions of electronic components in numerous industries is the booster of such growth. The Asia-Pacific electronic component market is also expected to gain market growth, reaches 34 million by 2028. As mentioned earlier, raising automations and IoT under the Industrial 4.0, increasing electronic use in manufacturing, automations, and defense that act as a driver for electronic component market to grow. However, the rising material cost of rare metals and common components could prove to be a challenge for this market. Here is a snapshot of the Asia-Pacific electronics markets used by different community, as well as a breakdown view of the end user type of industry. Brown goods and white goods like laptop, TV, refrigerators, air conditioner, etc. has taken up more than 50% of the market share. And we will dive into some details of the automotive industry at the later slide. On the set side, computers market has started to experience a weaker demand and show a decline of around 11% in the last quarter of the year. This could be due to the inventory correction, fulfilled demand, and economy pressure from purchases in the past 2 years. As AEIS member, they will receive the monthly market statistic through our electronic newsletters. Here is another closer but a brief view of the statistic of electronic component types from 2021 to 2028. But however, we are unable to dive into in-depth detail due to our data protection policy to protect and safeguard our members' rights. So there are kind of like some one. Okay, so sorry. Oh, apologize again. Okay, so there are many webinars that will cover about manufacturing automations. Here we will just focus a little bit more on the automotive industry. Asia Pacific actually capture around 40% of the global automotive electronic market in 2022. Countries like India, Thailand, China hold the presence of the leading automakers, and according to the Society of India Automobile Manufacturers in India, India is one of the third largest auto sectors in the globe. So the advanced automotive features could help automakers to attract new customers. automakers are putting more emphasis on using electronic to adhere to strict regulations and improve product quality, decreasing production costs, and personalizing car features. Automotive electronics market share from commercial vehicles is observed to grow by 5% for the next 10 years, and the commercial vehicle sector is evolved at a stellar rate with the introductions of advanced autonomous and electrical vehicles. Business in the transport and commercial logistic industry are relying heavily on the connectivity solution to streamline their operations. The use of features like electronic transit control, adaptive distance control, and ADAS in heavy commercial vehicle will influence product demand in future. Okay, so we must be prepared to tap into this global trend and opportunity by working with industrial players, industrial educators, and associations to get ready a pool of qualified talents to better support company growth. AIS is also working with industrial to ensure that low-income students are also not missed out from this growth opportunity. So this brings me to introduce AIS and also our offer as an electronic associations in Singapore. So who is AIS? AIS stands for Association of Electronic Industry in Singapore, and we were founded in 1973. Our goal as a trade association in the electronic space is to connect electronic companies with one another through various means. AIS places electronic business growth at the heart of what we do. Through our trade shows, we help companies exhibit their product and service in a new and wider market. We also connect business matching service and mission trip to help electronic business companies to find leads for their company and establish meaningful business relationship. AIS know that webinars are fashionable in this digital era. That's why we organize webinar with HQTS on such interesting technology topics to engage with you. Furthermore, we have improved our digital marketing activity efforts with presence of LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We create content that inspire and engage electronics leaders all over the world. We also provide educational contents that help your company to learn about new tactics and approaches regarding the electronics industry. Furthermore, AIS promotes CSR initiative in order to benefit the needs and less fortunate people in our society. For example, we also promote MSS fostering care scheme for children in the country. And through all our digital efforts, most of our applications are now through digitals rather than paper applications. So lastly, we have a pool of our members covering the electronics sectors from the equipments, EMS, smart lighting, EV, and also components. Feel free to reach out to AIS on your various activities in different industrial or country needs. So thank you very much for the time. I will hand back to Zurich.
Okay, thank you, Eileen. So we already give you like some introduction about like the Vietnam market. and Singapore market of the electronics industry. So now is the the discussion time. If you have a question, you can post in the chat box, and we try to answer immediately. If not, we will send you the answer via email. First of all, before the webinar, we received several questions from the participants in the webinar. So the first question is we received the question about the difference between the warranty term of the components and the warranty term of the whole product. The question is, although the warranty of the components is normally quite long, about from 3 to 5 years, manufacturers usually apply the warranty for the finished product much shorter than that, normally 2 years. So this is to and the question is why. So our answer is this is to protect the manufacturers. So it's more convenient for manufacturers to have only one warranty term for the whole product. A finished goods have plenty of components, so it will be very complicated in terms of management and after-sales service if each part has different warranty term. That's why manufacturers select the shortest warranty term to apply for the whole finished goods. For example, this item has many components. For example, the frame, the scroll wheel here, and the chip inside maybe. So let's say the warranty of the chip is 2 years and the orders is 3 to 5 years. So if I'm the manufacturer, I will set the warranty 2 years for the whole product, because I know exactly that during 2 years, the only thing I should worry about and maybe repair is just the chip, not all the parts. And also manufacturers buy components from other suppliers to assemble. So this is about how they can minimize the risk occurrence due to the warranty, the quality of the parts, because the customers don't know their suppliers, customers only know them, so they want to reduce the risk as much as possible. So this is why the warranty of the whole product normally shorter than the warranty of each components. Okay, I think the question is from you, Pedro Xavier. I'm talking about that. And so that is the first question about the warranty term. And the second question, and yeah, I think because they produce the product, so basically it's more about to secure themselves. But because nowadays most of the warranty is about the 2 years, so it's widely acceptable to a lot of countries. The question number two. The question number two is about you mentioned a case that a manufacturer or supplier rejected or delayed to provide the 3D and 8D reports on time as promised. If the company is client, so they are very strict about the report timeline. But when they are supplier, so they seem ignore the requirements. So the question is how to solve this issue. We think that this question is totally about the quality control process. From the beginning, the client and supplier have a contract which states clearly the terms and conditions of the whole cooperation and report as well. And the agreement states clearly the submission time and contents of the report. So there are also benefits if a party does not follow the rules. So if the supplier denies or delays to provide reports, the client can deduct money based on the benefit terms in the contract. So at least this is how we do in HQTS. Also, some clients, they don't want to work directly with suppliers, so they have a third party handle this. And this third party can work closely with the suppliers to submit the reports on time when requested. For example, in our company, we commit to submit the inspection report within 24 hours after the inspectors finish their job. So I think the idea here is to select the decent supplier or a third party for the quality control, and they state clearly the terms and conditions, also the penalties from the very beginning of the relationship or the cooperation. And the third question is about some intermediaries like DAP or PAP suppliers seem to favor their own suppliers and manufacturers more than their clients. For example, when a complaint occurs, they try to protect their suppliers and manufacturers rather than stand for their client side. So I will answer this question in general, not only DAP or PAP. Basically, in the supply chain, at the relationship between different parties, whenever a complaint occurs, meaning that an issue happens. So the first priority is to solve the problem, not to hide or ignore it. So I would like to say that if you are a client and your suppliers or intermediaries try to skip it, or don't want to solve it seriously, clearly they are not fully fulfill their the roles or position in the corporation. So you should seriously talk with them and have some terms and conditions in the contract from the beginning about the timeline of the report when necessary or something like that. It should be clear from the beginning about the quality standard and the problem solving process, so that all parties have to follow. For example, in HQTS, we always stand for our clients because they deserve to receive timely and fully reports when necessary. And we always maintain honesty and trust by providing accurate data and figures, not bias or cheating or delaying. By looking at our report, the client will see whether or not the result meets their quality standard. And if the client hires us for quality control from A to Z, so it's our responsibility to work closely with the manufacturers to fix the problem immediately and send the report to the client. So I think it's it's about the terms and conditions from the beginning when the client and the suppliers work together. So we should have the very clearly agreement from the beginning about all of this. Okay, do you have any other questions for Vietnam market, for Singapore market? You can type in the chat box, or something about inspection or testing services for electronics. Or if you have any, you can type the email. You can send your question to the email. Hi, Pedro. So I think in this case, so basically the 2 years is very common nowadays. So they the best way for them to, to serve the customers is that they have to ensure the quality of the finished goods, the whole product is very good. Because, for example, although we said that the 2 years, normally, if the brand say that, okay, the warranty of this product is 2 years, but in fact, they have to ensure that this product can last for, like more than 2 years, like 3 years or, 3 years and a half. But they only say 2 years just to make sure, like before 3 years, so there is the minimized, the risk or, the damage from the products to the customers. So basically, when they set like the warranty term, they already consider like this is like the best term for the customer to use the product flawlessly. It's also similar to some, like logistics companies, although they can deliver the product to the customers like within, like 3 days. But normally when the customer contact them, they always said, okay, we will deliver the products to you in 7 days. Because if they can deliver, like faster, they can increase the, the satisfaction from the customers. So it's quite similar to, to that in this case. Although their product can work very well within 3 years, but they said, okay, 2 years because they want to increase the satisfaction of the customers. I think when, like when the manufacturers, they buy the components from their own supply network, they also have to make sure like the, the expire date or something, the warranty term of the product, of the components as well. So they already, like consider about like the life cycle of the components, and it's long enough, it's still, like have the good quality enough in order to assemble for the finished goods. So I believe that like the manufacturers, they already control that. And of course, like if they want to supply, for example, if they are the big brands in the market, so their own supply network has a very high standard of quality, and all the quality of the components also achieve like the very high standard of quality. So I think like they already consider and make sure like the components is very good in order to, like do the assembly. Okay, so if you have other questions, you can send an email. You can send your questions to the email below, the market 40@hqts.com. So we are willing to, give you the answer if possible. And if you have some other questions about like, like the Singapore market or Vietnam market or inspection services, so please do not hesitate to contact us, and we are willing to help you to, like make sure your quality is the best. Okay, I think like it's about like 1 hour already, and thank you everybody for joining the event today, and thank you Eileen, and thank you like the Association of Electronics Industries in Singapore for the cooperation with HQTS to like organize this webinar. And we hope in the future we will have more, like meaningful events like this to support the business of the companies not only in Vietnam or Singapore, but in other countries as well. Eileen, do you want to say something?
Thank you very much for organizing it. So should you have any questions, just feel free to drop AIS or HQTS any emails, and we will try to respond to you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. Bye-bye.